Bonita's Kitchen. What I'm going to be doing for you today is crabapple jelly. And the few ingredients that go in crabapple jelly is sugar, which we won't be using a lot of, and I'll explain that as we go along, water, and crab apples. We are going to go in a friend's garden to pick some crab apples. I'm going to ask you to join me. Then when we get back, I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, let's go. Here we are in the backyard, and we're going to pick some beautiful crab apples. And the tree is absolutely full of crab apples, and we're going to take them back to my kitchen. We'll make some apple jelly and get them all ready for bottling for the winter. Follow me. Okay, we got our apples. Thanks to our friends for letting us pick them. So now what we're going to do is cut them up into small portions, put them into our boiler. I'll explain that as we go. You can have different size mason jars, as you can see there. That's later in the show. I'm going to start cutting them. You can use whatever knife size. You don't have to peel the apples. Just wash them and cut. Little cubes. You can leave even the stones. Once it boils, I'm going to show you what we need to do after. Crabapple jelly is a type of jam, or jelly you would call it, that takes a lot of time to do. So this is not something that you're going to do in an hour. It takes literally all night to drain all the juice from the apples. You only need to let it boil for half an hour, and then after we'll take it out of the boiler and put it into a strainer, which is a strainer that looks something like this one, or it could be a vegetable cloth. It's almost like a cotton bag that you would use for your pea bag or your pudding bag. But again, I'll explain that as we go. Okay, so we've just got a couple of more apples to do. They're really nice crab apples, I must say. So anyway, what we need to do is we gotta cover the apples with water. There's quite a few apples that came from that pick, I must say. So we need to make sure that the apples is at least covered over the top. So I'm not going to give you in cups, because you may have more apples than what I have picked there in this container. So this is a jug of cold water. So I might need another jug full. So let's get some more water add into this. And this jug, I would say, is about 6 cups. Okay, so I poured in one jug full, which I'm thinking it's about 6 cups. And then I got another jug full, but I'm only going to pour about a little over half in there of that one. It's totally covered. I'm going to put it on the heat, medium heat. Let it simmer on that medium heat for about half an hour to an hour, depending on your boil. And then every so often stir. Don't over stir and don't press, because you don't want to make the juice come out of the apple too soon. And then I'll explain the rest to you. Okay, over to the sink. Put our boiler on the stove. And remember, put your stove on about medium heat. Let it go for about half an hour to an hour. I'm going to cover it there as well. And then, you know, we'll just see how it goes after that. See you back here in a bit. Okay, now I'm just going to check on the boil, of course. You start off with cold water. You cover the crab apples. And then once your crab apples get into a boil, you see it galloping like this, then you time it half an hour to an hour, just until it's tender, not over boiled, because we don't want to cause the apples to condense too much. We want to keep all the juice and pectin as much as we can to make for an uncloudy jelly. Okay, so I will check it again in about 20 minutes and then I'll show you the next step. Thanks. Okay, let's go get our bowler. I think we're at now about an hour. I'm just going to take the bowler over into this counter. Take the lid off. So this is what we're looking at. Okay, so we're going to take out our crab apples, and as you can see, they're not totally gone to mush, but they are condensed enough where the juice is going to drain out of them. So you can continue on scooping out all of your crab apples, put into your strainer. Don't squeeze it down. Let all the juices go on its own. And then you continue putting all of your crab apples onto your strainer. Now I also got a vegetable strainer, and this is also could be used. If you got more crab apples than you can get into this, use that. Just scoop it up and pour it into the bag. It's called a vegetable strainer. You can also use a cheesecloth. You can use what we call a pea bag or a pudding bag, just as long as it strains the juice through. Just keep it all going down into this pan. The more juice you get, the better, and then it's going to take at least six hours, maybe even longer, for all of the juice to strain out of the crab apples. Okay, so this is the last crab apple. So remember, with this bag, you can hook it up and let it drip down. But for right now, I'm just going to put it onto the rest. Drain out all the juice out of your pot. Put it into this container because you want all of this juice. And just pour it in the strainer because you don't want none of the stones or anything else, because like I said, we didn't peel these crab apples, we just cut it in cubes. Let it strain for 6 probably to 8 hours. If you're doing it in the middle of the day, let it go all night in the morning. Then what we were going to do on the next set, we're going to measure how many cups of juice came from the crab apples, and then I'll show you then how you would portionize the sugar into it. So again, let it sit, strain, and visit it again in the morning. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we got all of the crab apples scooped out, put into the strainer. I'm going to take a little bit of foil wrap. The juice is all into the pot. This is there to strain down into it. I'm going to cover it here now because I'm going to keep mine overnight so that all the juices is drained into the pot. Just remember, if you're doing it during the day, you could, you don't need to do this portion. Like I said, let it drain and then go into the next step. But for now, this is what we'll do. We'll cover it and then we'll see you back here when we measure off our juice and get ready to start to ball down our jelly. Okay. Okay, now we've waited 6 hours for our crab apples to strain. We're going to take the bag off. As you can see, crab apples are now fully drained. And now I get to measure the juice. I'm going to measure how much juice is strained off the crab apples. So this is 2 cups I got there, this measuring cup. So there's 2. Pour it into another boiler that you can easy access to. This is another 2 cups. You want something low but wide on the top. And this one looks like it might be No, I got 6 cups. So I got 6 cups of juice out of that straining. So it's, now our next step is we're going to start the boil process again. We're not going to have it galloping or over hot, again medium heat. We want to start it till it starts to boil. And then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar to each cup of juice that we got. So in our case there, we'll just measure it off. We got 6 cups of juice. And so let's bring it over to the stove. Okay, we got our juice on the stove starting to boil. Now what we're going to do is prepare our sugar. I said 1/4, but I meant to say 1/3 cup of sugar to each cup of juice. In our case, I got 6 cups of juice, so I would need 2 cups of sugar for that. Now this don't add right away. You don't add this sugar until after your juice is starting to boil and you can see that it's starting to condense a little bit. Then we'll mix in the sugar slowly and then we'll go to the next step. Alright, see you in a few. Okay, now our juice is boiling. We're going to put a secret ingredient into our crabapple jelly, which is fresh ginger. I'm just going to cut off a little chunk. I'm not going to grate it. And we're going to put it into it while it's boiling. And we'll add it to our juice with the sugar. Okay, I'm going to put my ginger into the pot. And I'm going to slowly add in the 2 cups of sugar. It's boiling nice. So remember, you got to keep it boiling until it starts to condense enough where it seems a little thicker. Okay, as you can see, the juice is starting to boil, and it's galloping nice, not overly. And you keep letting it boil like that until it starts to condense to juice. Okay, it's been boiling now for about 15 minutes. I'm going to take the ginger out. I just wanted the ginger in there for a bit of flavor. As you can see, it's still not condensed. It could take half an hour to an hour just at this boiling stage. So just keep watching it and make note of any foam that starts, because you'll need to clear that off, and I'll show you that as we go. Okay, our juice is condensed now. I'm going to add a tablespoonful of butter just to help with you know, the texture, and it helps with the defoaming, because sometimes when it's boiling it foams up. Now I got a cold spoon. I'm going to dip it into the texture, bring it up, and as you can see, it's slowly dripping off the spoon. This is telling me that it's starting to condense and thicken. Now I'm going to reduce the heat. I'm going to take it off and start ladling it into my bottles. Okay, so now I'm going to take my already prepared jelly. I'm going to put it into my clean jars. I'm thinking that I'm only going to make about 3, but I'm just going to check here now. I'm going to pour it out into the jars. It condenses quite a bit, but that's what it's all about, I guess, and it's a nice color to this one. Okay, so I'm going to continue putting it into my jar. I'm not going to fill it all the ways up. I got to put it into a hot water bath after this. I got my lids boiling, and then, well, it looks like I might get 3 out of it. I don't want to fill it all the ways up. I'm going to get this last little bit of juice into each bottle. So I'm going to make, I made 3 small jars out of 6 cups. So depending on how much crab apples you got. Alright, so now I got my lids boiling. We're going to take them and add it on our jars. Okay, I'm going to turn off the boil on my lids. Bring it over. You want your lids nice and hot because you want for it to seal good on your jam. The condensity of the jelly is almost like a maple syrup. It's almost like a candy when the texture of it. And depending on how tart or sweet you want it, you know, you can add more sugar, or you could just add the amount that I had told you. I'm going to post the recipe on my Facebook page so that you got it all there. Pretty hot. I got the water boiling so that we can start the canning. The lids are hot. The jam is hot. Okay. Okay, so we're going to be putting it into our boiling water to can it. It's sealed. I'm going to put it down slowly because you don't want to burn yourself. It's going to be about 5 minutes in there. You don't need any longer than that. Cover it just so that it can start to lock your caps. Then we'll take them out. Okay, the 5 minutes is up. And I got to take them out of their water bath. So you let them sit until it's cold, and then you can put it in your fridge. You know, let it sit. Maybe it'll take a couple of days in your fridge, and then, you know, enjoy. Remember, I'm going to put a recipe on my Facebook page so that you'd know the steps. It is a long episode of making crabapple jelly, and again, 6 cups looks like it makes 3 cups of jelly. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Bonita's Kitchen. You have a good day.